Welcome to Brews Brothers, and I'm Bert.
I'm Sean.
I'm James. This week, Bert's going to take us outside of London to one of the newest breweries in the region, Upper Thames in Woodstock.
We go down to Covent Garden Market to check out the Four City Beer Fest, meet a bunch of people who are really good at what they do.
And I might be biased because I have been involved with the Beer Fest for a couple years now, but I think it's the best craft beer fest possibly in Ontario. But before we do that, we're going to head down to Woodstock to go to the Upper Thames Brewing Company.
Sounds good.
So we're here at the Upper Thames Brewing Company in Woodstock, and I'm with Carl, who's one of the co-owners here. And I was wondering if you could just tell me a little bit about how the Upper Thames Brewing Company got started.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got a group of 5 partners, all craft beer enthusiasts. Got together. We kind of were throwing around a few ideas.
Right.
Really decided that the city of Woodstock needed to have a craft brewery, a microbrewery.
It was time.
It was absolutely time. There's not one in this county or in this community. We kind of knew it was going to eventually come, and we decided to kind of hurry that process along. And if it wasn't us, it was going to be someone else. We all had a great love of craft beer and decided that we wanted to bring it to this community.
Great. Well, thank you so much for doing that, because
You got it.
You know, I know London's got a couple craft breweries now. Kitchener-Waterloo's got a fair amount, and there was kind of a void right through the middle, right? And you don't want to go thirsty.
Absolutely,
right?
That's right.
So,
yeah, that's right. And
how long have you guys been in the works of doing this? Like a couple months or a year maybe now? Or?
It's been since, I suppose, the first inkling was summer 2015, and it is a long process. We had heard from other craft brewers that it takes up to 9 months is a quick process to get going. So we had our opening in August 2016, and things are just they're pumping along pretty good. So yeah, so there's 5 partners, and all of us have that passion for craft beer. We really felt that Woodstock, this community, that it really needed it. It was a void to be filled, like you just said.
Right.
Providing that higher end small batch, giving it that community feel too. So we went ahead and filled that void. The response so far has been unbelievable. It really has been. The community's got behind it. So you know, we just want to continue to grow, but not compromise giving a high quality small batch product for the community.
Awesome. So, you know, every single brewery in Ontario needs one thing, and that's a guy with a giant beard.
Right on,
and you have him in your awesome logo here.
We incorporated our brewer, who you're going to get to meet later. I'm kidding. He actually, but he does have a beard, and maybe he looks a little bit like that guy. Yeah,
the Mountain Man logo. Tell me a little bit how you guys came up with that. I love it. It's perfect.
Yeah, so I guess it goes a little bit with the naming. So when we got together for figuring it, we decided, okay, got together and said, yeah, we're going to open up a craft brewery in Woodstock,
right.
which I'm telling you, and I'm sure talking to the other people, is not as easy as you would ever think it is. This is not like opening a cafe or even a restaurant. It's a lot of different animals that you're trying to combine together at once, and then to have no compromises and make sure it's something good that you're going to be proud of, it takes even just that much more time. And of course, you're dealing with partners and 3 different levels of government, so there's a lot of different factors involved. So there's that part to it. So once we decided we were going to do it, we threw around some names, and it's a similar process to a lot of what the other craft breweries are doing. We wanted to have something that was fun, something that certainly identified with the community. So we threw out probably 30 or 40 different names, just kind of spitballing things, and came up with Upper Thames, which is the watershed that we're a part of.
Right.
So that kind of, it went to a geographic area too, which we looked at maybe something incorporating Woodstock or something specific to Woodstock, but we just were like, well, you know what? Upper Thames is very identifiable with this area. We love that outdoorsy sort of thing, and identifying with that watershed. So we ended up going with that. We hired on Sean Walker he's from Dorchester. Urban Jungle Graphics is the name of his company. We brought him on to design our logo. And
so you even have that local presence in your logo.
Absolutely, yeah. And he's I tell you, he's from a small town and he's close to Woodstock, but he is absolutely one of the best that he does at what he does.
So one thing that I noticed that you guys are doing here that's a little different that I really like to see, and I'd like to see more craft breweries do this, is you actually have 2 guest taps for now. Tell me about why you chose to do that as opposed to just having your own beer for now.
Sure. Well, the one thing that we were, I have to be honest, quite surprised about was the community that is built and developed through the craft brewers. When we were starting, we needed a lot of help, a lot of information, a lot of question and answer. We didn't want anyone to do it for us, but we just, we needed a starting point. And some of these guys were just unreal, and it's something I wasn't expecting. That era of competitiveness was not there. It really was a community where everyone's kind of building each other up. And everyone wants each other to succeed.
Right.
So in doing the guest taps, I guess we were looking to just kind of show something else different that we don't offer, because of course there's hundreds and hundreds of different styles of craft beers out there, as you well know. And even something as simple as a pale ale that we do and a pale ale that Black Swan and Stratford does, they're going to be different. You've got a different brewery, you got a different recipe, you have a
good
different
brewery,
system.
right? Another good local brewery.
These guys are fantastic. Definitely go check them out for sure. Yeah.
The Wild Child Berliner Weiss.
Oh, absolutely.
Had to mention it. Tons of raspberry, amazing Berliner. I happen to be a sour guy, so that's one of my favorite beers.
Absolutely, and actually that is one of our brewer's specialties, is a sour beer. So he's quite excited to get that out. I've tried it. It's interesting. For an enthusiast like myself, it is the next level, and so it takes some getting used to, but it's very interesting.
I'm sure your very first time having an IPA, you didn't go have a triple IPA or something super bitter.
You're right.
You started with something lower key and just slowly get yourself there.
That's right. Yeah. But with the guest taps, it is kind of nice to expose people to different breweries and different styles of beer.
Great. Well, I'm really excited. Thanks for spending the time with me today, Carl.
No, glad you came in. That's
really
great.
excited to go check out what else you have going on here at the brewery.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you guys coming out. Wish you guys all the best of luck.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
All right, so I'm here with Josh, who's the brewmaster here at Upper Thames, and he's going to actually tell us a little bit about how the beer actually gets made, starting right here with the water purification system.
Yeah, so basically Woodstock, the city of Woodstock's all on well water, which makes the mineral content way too high for brewing. So basically we have to run everything through a reverse osmosis system, which is basically just in back here.
Right.
And that pretty much takes the water to like a blank slate, and then I can add minerals back in depending on the style of beer. So I can really tailor the water profile precisely to the style of beer I'm making.
So originally it's a little bit more work than just dealing with the local municipality water, but in the long run, you can really suit it to every beer you like.
Yeah, it makes things a little more flexible for us, for sure. Yeah.
So I'm here at Upper Thames with Mo, and he's just going to tell us a little bit more about how the brewery got started and how you guys all came together to partner to make this awesome brewery.
Well, it's started about a year ago. We, me and Carl were sitting around, and we would swap beers from different breweries that we would have visited, and we were constantly coming up with the fact that we don't have a brewery, and that really we exist within a bubble of southwestern Ontario that doesn't have one. We have breweries in London, Stratford, Elmira, St. Jacobs, Cambridge, Kitchener, Brantford, all the way around to St. Thomas.
Even smaller towns like Delhi, and then Lunenburg, I believe, is in another small town out there.
Newlinburg's in Nixon, and Nixon is it's two crossroads. It's an old schoolhouse, and like it's in the middle of the country.
If Nixon has a brewery, Woodstock needs a brewery. So thank you.
And that's exactly what we were thinking. And we originally set a date to start this for September coming. But then we read about Refined Fool and how they had done theirs, and so we made an appointment to go down and talk to them. We went down and talked to them, and we realized that we can do this. It's quite possible with the right people. So we brought together a group of guys, and we had our first meeting. Josh was kind enough to show up with some home beer that he had brewed. It was delicious. And then that was in November of last year.
Right.
We went through 22 different locations in downtown Woodstock.
Yeah.
Then we went through another about 12 outside of the downtown. And based on existing bylaws, square footage, the front of the building, we chose this location.
Right.
So
tell me, I love this tap room. Is beautiful, by the way. I loved all the reclaimed wood. Tell us about an interesting story, maybe about how some of this wood got here.
Well, we've met some real characters through this.
Right.
And we met Joe Daniels out in Maple Haven Sawmill in Salford.
Right.
And he was able to give us these or sell us these bar tops. He does bar tops for bars all over North America.
Really?
And just recently one went out to Calgary. So we went out and saw Joe, and we ended up buying wood for most of our tables that we've built ourselves.
Wow.
And then we were standing there and looking at the big saw, and it's huge. And I was like, wouldn't it be awesome to have a saw blade? And he goes, I got one out behind the barn. I stopped using it back in the 90s. So we went out and looked at it, and it was this big, rusty old saw. And originally, when he purchased it, it was 58 inches wide.
Right.
And over the years of them putting it in the saw, taking it out, sharpening it, put it back in, it's down to 56 inches wide.
Wow.
So it's cut a lot of wood.
And is that what I see you're using to have all your beers up there?
So that's our menu board now.
That's awesome.
So and it's up there and it's not coming down. It is.
I wondered what that was. I'll be honest, I really like it here.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to sit under the saw blade. I'm sure that you guys have done a great job attaching it to the wall, but no, that's great. That's such a unique story that you get to have forever with
Tom
that, right?
Baird and Chris Ford down at Baird's Machines downtown Woodstock, they built a bracket there that they guarantee will not release that saw blade. It's there to stay.
Awesome. I was kidding a little.
It took three of us.
It does look somewhat ominous.
It took three of us to get it up there.
Right.
It's heavy. So we were lucky enough to get that saw blade, and then we found a couple canoes to hang up.
Right.
The one above the bar here, which has lights in it,
right,
which we get a lot of comments about. It is beautiful. That one was made in Peterborough in 1975. I went and met the guy that was selling it. He was downsizing and moving into a condo, and he purchased it new for $550.
Wow.
He told me he's been on over 100 canoe trips in that, and he struggled to sell that to me because he was so attached to it. It meant so much to him, but he didn't want to see it getting destroyed. So we've mounted it in a way that it could come back down and could go back in the water if we ever decide that we don't want that above there anymore.
Right.
So and so he used it for 100 trips, and we bought it for $500.
Wow.
So he got 50 cents a canoe trip.
Yeah, I was going to say, he lost $50 on it over 100 trips. Yeah, good job doing the math there quickly for me. So
and then our other
pretty interesting.
It is. Our other canoe came out of Kincardine. It was handmade by a gentleman there in his basement over the winter of '85 and '86. And so it's a absolutely beautiful chestnut canoe, 16 foot long, and it's also hanging so that we can take it down and go for a canoe ride if we want.
Awesome. All right, so I'm here with Josh now at the brew house, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about what happens in these giant silver vessels behind us.
All right, so this is our little brewing system. It's all electrically heated. It's got little elements in each of the vessels to maintain the temperature. And things start off in the hot liquor tank. That gets filled right off of our RO system.
Right.
So the water goes in there, gets heated up. Once it's to temperature, it gets pumped over to the mash tun here, and that's where the malt is added, and it's basically steeped in the hot water for about an hour or so, and that basically allows the enzymes in the malt to convert the starches into sugar.
Right.
and that's the sugar that the yeast will eventually eat and turn into alcohol.
Right. So is the main purpose of the hot liquor tank just literally to keep this at temp?
Basically, yeah.
So
Yep.
none of the wort actually goes into this guy?
No, it just water.
Right.
Yep. It's
Cool.
basically just a holding tank for hot water. And then, so when the mash is done, it gets pumped over to the boil kettle behind you here. And that's where the beer is boiled and the hops are added. And then
My favorite part.
and when that's done, it gets put through a heat exchanger and chilled down to about 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and goes right into one of our fermenters, and that's where the yeast's added.
So we're here in the walk-in cooler, and this is not only the room that all the kegs stay in to stay cold, but also where the bright tank is.
Yeah, so the bright tank is kind of the final step of the brewing process. That's where the beer carbonates and what's called dropping bright, which is when the beer clears, all the proteins and the yeast fall out of suspension due to the cold temperature. And,
I didn't know that. I've done like 20 brewery tours, so thank you. I was like wondering why it's called that.
There you go. Yeah, so these are our bright tanks here. We've got 2 single batch size one and our 1 double batch size tank. So yeah, when the beer's done fermenting, it gets pumped into these guys, and it sits in here for 2 to 4 days, and the CO2 is bubbled up through basically like an air stone at the bottom, and that carbonates the beer, and then the cold temperature causes all the solids to precipitate out, and then you get nice clear cold carbonated beer, and then from there it gets put into their kegs.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you so much for explaining that to me. I wasn't aware of that, so I appreciate that. And possibly most importantly, let's go around to the other side here and get to try some of this beer now.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
A lot of really cool things in that place. Really unique atmosphere.
Yeah, a lot of the wood has a story behind it. It's all been reclaimed from barns and different places, and even the canoes they have, they actually know the people they got them from, and they have a whole story behind them as well, which is really unique. So it's definitely a beautiful tap room. It's only about 20 minutes from London, so yeah, I highly encourage people to go check it out if they haven't had the chance yet. So
What do you think your favorite beer was, or which one would you recommend?
they were all pretty good, but definitely the one that stood out for me was their wheat. They did a fantastic, for a new brewery when they're opening, to be able to nail down a recipe like that and for it to taste that good I was shocked. It was really good. So
Cool, cool.